Greetings, Starfighters. Welcome back to Shameless Cashgrab, the Rock Hudson Comedy Collection. I hope you. June in the United States is both Pride Month, LGBTQ plus Pride Month, and Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. Um, I don't want to be a downer, but things are kind of rough here in the States, and I think most of my viewers are from the States, so they probably already know that. For those of you who aren't from the States, I hope things are going better for you, but I'm also aware that a lot of times when bad shit happens here, it starts to affect the rest of the world. There's that whole saying, America sneezes, the rest of the world gets a cold. But hopefully we can have some fun looking at our next Rock Hudson movie, which is called Come September. I recognize a couple of the names in this cast list here, Sandra Dee and Bobby Darin. And unlike in the previous movie, Rock Hudson does get top billing in this. So I'm not sure if that's going to make it better than Has Anybody Seen My Gal, which was a pleasant surprise. As I think it's the best season opener movie we've had since Babyface Morgan back in season 5. And I don't really know much about this one here. It involves Italy. Don't know if it was actually filmed there. But yeah, okay, so what year is it from? I usually say the year in these things, don't I? At the very least, I say the year in the audio segment. But okay, 1963. So okay, wow. This one was made 11 years after the first movie in this set. Wow. That's it goes to 11. Alright. Yeah. Enough waffling on my part. Let's watch Come September.
So, I have watched Come September from 1961. Plot summary, courtesy of Letterboxd. Robert Talbot, an American millionaire, arrives early for his annual vacation at his luxurious Italian villa. His longtime girlfriend Lisa has given up waiting for him and has decided to marry another man. Meanwhile, his sneaky business associate Maurice secretly misappropriates the villa as a hotel while Talbot is away. The current guests of the hotel are a group of young American girls. Before we get into the movie, a little heads up. I'm aware the quality of the screen caps is a bit lower than in the last episode. I honestly do not know why this has happened. Hopefully I'll be able to sort it out before the next movie. I was running behind as it was when I was watching this one. So after the opening credits, we meet our main character, Robert, at a board meeting where he's interrupted by a phone call. Not that he was that invested in it, apparently, as he was sketching a girl in a bikini while he was talking. We then go to Lisa, getting ready for her wedding that was mentioned in the summary, surprised that Robert is in Italy already in July, as in the past he's only come in September. Hence the title. Another woman tries to talk her out of telling Robert directly and to just send a letter, but Lisa insists. She gets the chance when he calls her, but fails, practically melting at the sound of his voice, much to the annoyance of her friend? Sister? I'm not sure who this Anna character is yet, apart from her name. I just realized going over this, I don't think we ever find out. Anyway, Robert is still in the dark about Lisa marrying someone else and thinks he's going to be picking her up to take her to his villa. And he might actually be doing that, because after an argument with Anna that's in Italian with no subtitles, we fade to Lisa telling her fiancé she can't marry him, which he takes as pre-wedding jitters. His name is Spencer, and he is quite British. That's pretty much the entirety of his personality, folks. Also, I learned his name when Lisa drops it in the same line of dialogue as an anti-Romani slur, so that's a yikes right there. We then get a repetitive sequence of Robert being bothered by some youths in a yellow car. Well, youths played by actors who were clearly pushing 30, but we'll ignore that. They literally say the exact same sentences to him all 3 times they end up beside him on the road. One of them is played by Joel Grey. Sadly, he does not sing in this. That might have made this movie worth it. They eventually end up driving themselves into a muddy river. The score is telling me that this is supposed to be funny, but it's just not doing it for me. On his way up, someone working with Maurice, the shady associate from the summary, spots him and calls ahead to warn him. He and the villa's cleaning staff get to work on hiding everything before he gets there, peeling door numbers off of, doors, and, gender markers off of the bathrooms and all that. Honestly, this place should just be a hotel given how large it is. And this is just one guy's vacation home. Robert is supposed to be the lead of a romantic comedy, but he's giving off real first against the wall when the revolution comes energy. He arrives and is none the wiser at first until the young American girls from the plot summary show up, much to his confusion. Maurice manages to cover just barely with a story about a broken tour bus, but Robert insists they need to be gone by evening. Honestly, even with the knowledge that Maurice is lying, Robert still comes across as a douche here. There's more lying from Maurice afterwards to the chaperone for the girls. Catherine, I think her name was. I forgot to write it down. And I'm not feeling great about the direction of this movie. I just know that lying is going to be the theme for the comedy in this movie. Now, sometimes that can work. I mean, Clue is a masterclass in how well it can be pulled off with the right writers, director, and cast. But most of the time, it's just cringy. And it also sucks for me because I just know I won't be able to keep up with all of them as I try to take notes for the episode. And to top it off, this movie is closer to 2 hours than an hour and a half, and I am only 22 minutes in as I write this. I literally watched 28 years later, the same day that I watched this movie, but it's this one that's bringing my mood down. Anyway, Sandra Dee has entered the movie at this point. I mistakenly thought that she was like an assistant chaperone, but no, she's actually one of the girls. I thought she had future love interest written all over her. It turns out later I was wrong about that. But she is operating under the false premise given to her by Maurice that Robert is a veteran with PTSD who only thinks he owns the villa. And I guess apparently Sandra Dee's character is planning to study psychology when she goes to college and has decided to take it upon herself to help Robert. But I'm skipping ahead a little bit there. So Robert confronts Maurice. Oh wait, I didn't skip ahead. I skipped over it in the notes. Okay. Robert confronts Maurice, and to Maurice's credit, he doesn't try to triple down on the lie. Instead, he defends himself by pointing out how Robert is hardly ever there, and most of the time when there are issues with the villa, he's the one who has to fix them. And additionally, the paint job and new garden wall that Robert had complimented when he arrived earlier were paid for with the fees collected from the guests. I gotta be honest here, I'm kind of on Maurice's side at this point. Anyway, Robert, of course, tells Maurice that he and the rest of the villa's servants are fired, but Maurice convinces Robert to let him finish his duties for the day, which includes driving him to pick up Lisa. Lisa is informed about the hotel business, but convinces Robert to at least let the girls and their chaperones stay for the night instead of forcing them out right away. And there's more lie-based shenanigans here, and Robert is becoming even less likable. Now, granted, he is within his rights to be bothered that property he owned was being turned into a business without his consent for 11 months out of the year. But at the same time, it's hard to feel sympathy for a guy who could afford to own a house big enough to use as a hotel for at least 10 people that he only uses himself 1 month a year. It would help if Hudson was playing him better. I mean, the last movie this season got me to like a lumber and oil baron, for fuck's sake. It's difficult, but not impossible. But Rock Hudson is just not... he's just not giving the kind of performances that he was known for in this one. So the traveling American girls are about to leave, but the movie isn't even half over yet, so of course they get delayed. How? Catherine ends up in traction after slipping on a champagne cork. Yes, really. And the boys who'd driven their car into a river are back. And they also think the villa is a hotel. Robert manages to get rid of them, but only so far. As in far enough to set up camp on a piece of land that Robert doesn't own, but can see from his house. And Lisa is being friendly with them, much to Robert's half-justified annoyance. This leads to a scooter trip and a picnic, yada yada. Robert has some real alpha male, overprotective dad bullshit lines. There's a dance sequence, a montage of Robert talking to the tourist girls about dating. And I think this may well be the most overtly conservative movie I have ever watched for this show. If this movie were made today, the leads would be Dean Cain and Gina Carano, and the songs would be written by Kid Rock. There's also a running gag in the movie where the young men keep underestimating Robert due to his age. In a better movie, this would actually be funny. It culminates in the four boys passed out drunk while Robert doesn't even seem buzzed. I mean, he does end up passing out a few minutes later, but yeah, the punchline was telegraphed so hard that the critical drinker could have seen it coming. Ugh, how is there still 40 minutes left in this thing? It was actually at this point in the movie that I'd finally started to realize that Sandra Dee's character wasn't going to be a competing love interest for Robert. Honestly, I am okay with that. In case anyone is new here, if this is your first episode of Shameless Cashgrab, I'm sorry it's for such a crap movie. But if you're new here, I'm not a fan of love triangles. Like, at all. Ask anybody who knows me. I will complain about it at any given opportunity. So, suddenly, Lisa breaks up with Robert. During the breakup, she utters the line, "I don't have to make sense, I'm Italian." I think that was supposed to be funny. After that, a parakeet gets drunk. Okay, look, there's only a half hour left in the movie. Just roll with it. Catherine learns the villa isn't a hotel, finally. The girls leave, yada yada. The leader of the group of boys apologizes to Robert, yada yada. Robert learns a lesson based on the myth about lemmings running off of cliffs. Seriously, look it up. The whole lemming suicide thing was based on fake footage. Those poor animals were thrown off that cliff for a Disney nature documentary. It's horrifying. Robert steals a truck full of ducks to go after Lisa, and it is exactly as stupid in context as it is out. He asks her to marry him in a deeply unfunny and honestly, frankly, insulting sequence. Maurice gives us our first scene with subtitles for the Italian and the first actual laugh of the movie, with only 17 minutes left in the runtime, I might add, when he takes advantage of Robert having never learned Italian to get him in trouble with the police. Bro had it coming. Having had his fun, Maurice manages to get the police to take Robert to Lisa's place in Rome, and gets her arrested too, and put in the van with him and Robert. This was a matchmaking attempt. You're losing me, Maurice. You're losing me. Lisa ends up being arrested in front of Spencer, the British man she was going to marry earlier in the movie, and his two upper-class twit sisters. Well, I mean, I don't know if they're twits, but they're definitely stiff and upper class. So they're probably twits. Anyway, we fade from this to Robert leaving, like a police building or whatever with his lawyer saying he doesn't intend to sue for false arrest and just wants out of Rome as quickly as possible. Also some casual misogyny before we pan over to Lisa, also leaving the building alongside Spencer, shooting a dirty look at the cops as she passes them. Yada yada. She heads home. Sandra Dee comes back, crying about Tony. That's the name of the leader of the group of boys. I never said his name before because I didn't care. Yada yada. Lisa decides to pursue Robert because of course she does. Yada yada. She ends up borrowing a baby and just end already. How have the last 10 minutes felt like an hour? Whatever. It gets Robert off the train. They go back to the villa. Maurice has turned it into a hotel again, and the guests are nuns this time, which is a joke telegraphed heavily enough that I guessed the punchline, even though I was tired and annoyed. We find out Robert and Lisa are married. The end. Thank fucking Christ. Random thoughts I had while watching the movie. 1. Bobby Darin actually wrote the theme song, plus one other song for this movie. 2. There's a line where Maurice says to Robert, "I'll take your rooms to your bag," and doesn't miss a beat. Was this an intentional line to show how flustered Maurice was? Or just a flub that they left in? I honestly couldn't tell. 3. I mentioned it before, but Rock Hudson was not doing great in this movie. He was a much more experienced actor when he made this one than when he did Has Anybody Seen My Gal, the last episode from this season. So, not sure how that happened. Was this one of those contractual obligation films he had to do so the studio would let him be in a movie that he actually wanted to be in later? 4. During the lie-based shenanigans after Lisa made it to the villa, she was supposed to be pretending to be a school teacher for some reason. Maybe they explained it in the movie. I don't know. 5. Maurice is the only halfway decent male character in this whole movie. 6. So much Italian stereotyping going on in this movie. I could have made a counting gag out of it. Final verdict. At a little less than 10 minutes into the film, I had a feeling that I wasn't going to enjoy this movie as much as the last one, and I was right. I can't say this is the worst rom-com I've ever seen, but it is definitely the most boring. I don't remember past seasons of this show well enough to say for certain, but I think this is definitely top 5 in terms of come down from one movie to the next. It's not as though I've never followed up a pretty good movie in a season with a pretty bad movie in a season before, but this fall off was just massive. Has Anybody Seen My Gal was so much fun, and this just wasn't at all. Saving Private Ryan had more laughs than this. I don't even want to talk about this movie anymore. This is going to be a short final verdict section. Next time, we take a look at a movie called Man's Favorite Sport. The title has a question mark in it, that's why I said it like that. Have fun. Stay safe.